Venus and star blessings, everybody. I'm just going to talk about the full moon in Sagittarius. And before I do, I just want to show you some interesting things that reflect the power of the Venus star points. And it is about this guy here. Um, Before I go ahead, I'm still feeling unwell, so hence the audio. Yes, Coco, are you saying hello to everyone? And I won't stay on very long either. So bear with me again, as I'm not 100%. Okay, so the reason I'm talking about this guy here is because there's a big movement. Oh, there's lots of movements going on, but there's a particular movement going on called Blockout 2024. Some of you may have heard, some of you may have not, but basically it's a movement that started just after the that Gallon fashion showcase charity BS thing, full of celebrities, $75,000 a ticket, and so forth. And there was a particular celebrity on there that made a comment such as "Let them eat cake," which there's a lot of interpretation around that. Anyway, it was essentially a sinister thing directed towards people suffering. So that sparked off this massive wave in the collective Pluto and Aquarius of people all around the world starting to block not all, but a lot of celebrities on all social media platforms, like unfollowing them and blocking them. And it's quite extraordinary what's going on, actually, because the wave is just growing every second. And it's pretty amazing, which is why I wrote the comment, Pluto in Aquarius is, I said, fucking amazing for the people. Somebody wrote a comment underneath that and said, as a spiritual person, I shouldn't use the F word. And I kind of laughed when I saw it. I deleted your comment if you're listening, because I just didn't see that. That was not even realistic to assume that you can't use the F word if you are more spiritually awake is absolutely absurd. It's my favorite word, by the way. Anyway, outside of love. So back to on point. So there's this massive wave at the moment, which is a really interesting phenomena. I've been thinking about it on a number of different levels because, see, Pluto in Aquarius is obviously opposite the Pluto in Leo generation of people, right? So Pluto in Leo, without a doubt, produced some of the most genius and spectacular musicians and artists. The list is really long. Led Zeppelin, Mick Jagger. There's so many of them. But anyway, Pluto in Aquarius is really highlighting this sense of, actually, hang on a minute, we're all pretty amazing human beings, and we're all special, Pluto in Leo. So this is not about, placing people on pedestals anymore, because these celebrities essentially are at the, stage or level that they're at because of the people, because the people are the ones that place them there by projecting this this energy onto them as though they are gods, right? And Pluto in Aquarius is smashing through all of that illusion. So this wave of Blockout 2024 is literally Pluto in Aquarius, and I'm not surprised this is happening. And there's so much more we're going to see. So anyway, relative to this particular guy who is a rapper, he released a song called Hinds Hall on the 6th of May. And it's just, it's phenomenal. It's already had 142 million views more than 142 million views, it says here, actually, since its release, which was just 2 weeks ago. And the song is a political hip hop rapper's song of the devastation of what's happening in the Middle East. And this guy has been very pro-Palestine, has been very vocal about it, and has been fearless in his stance about it. So I was wondering, well, what's happening in his chart to show us this incredible exposure and incredible support, and how this has touched so many people on the planet. And very simply put, when he was born, his Venus star points, his actual primary Venus star point is a Scorpio Venus star point, and he's an evening star. But one of his Venus star points on the wheel is in Aquarius, and it's actually almost 2 degrees of Aquarius. So if you look at Pluto at the moment, transiting Pluto, where is it? It's at 2 degrees of Aquarius. So there it is, folks. If you don't know or appreciate the power of the Venus star points, this is yet another example. I've spoken about numerous examples over the last few years with different chart examples and so forth. But this is outstanding because this is not even the main Venus star point in his chart. The main one is always the head of the pentagram, right? But the arms and the legs, as they're called, when they are activated, things can happen in our life as well. And obviously, look at what's happened with him. He's got an Aquarius Venus star point at almost 2 degrees of Aquarius. Pluto's right on it, and bang, explosion. He releases this song. It's a political song. It's off the charts with regards to views and how many times it's been watched and listened and so on and so forth. So there it is. Pluto is such a powerful planet. And so, you expect that if Pluto hits off one of your star points, there's going to be, a pretty powerful impact in the person's life, and, potentially on a collective level, especially if you are a person who's in the public arena and has a powerful platform. You are able to use your voice in a powerful way. And this guy has done exactly that. So I just wanted to point that out as a way of example. Just very interesting to really watch what's happening to the Venus star points in people's lives. That is the 5 Venus star points that people were born under, and also the transiting Venus star points as well. And we are just, we are nearing a new Venus star point on the 4th of June, which will be a Gemini evening star. And again, I will come back to talk about that. So from this collective wave, with Pluto and Aquarius, he's been an advocate, an instigator, an advocate with his voice, with his music, with his platform, and he's reached the collective Pluto and Aquarius. That's what he's done. It's just phenomenal, actually. And also the Jupiter Uranus, the sun was there with the Jupiter Uranus triple conjunction not that long ago, and we've seen that has basically manifested as the wave of protests in universities collectively, right? We've got protests in universities all across the board, like in the whole world at different universities. I can't remember exactly where it started. It might have been USA. Anyway, there's massive protests still going on in one of our most elite and prestigious universities here in Melbourne, Australia, which is the Melbourne University. They have been protesting for 7 days nonstop, 24 hours a day. They've taken over the university, as it were. And, the university is trying to get rid of them, and it all comes down to the right of public speech in academia, and that's what they're pretty much saying, that we've got the right to use our voice in through an academic forum for the purposes of fairness and justice and so on and so forth. But again, it's just a very interesting phenomena, because Jupiter rules universities, you see, and it rules, different cultures, different countries, and so on and so forth. And that's literally what's going on, wave of protests throughout multiple universities across the globe. So I just wanted to also highlight that. And that's, it's going to be it is a part of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction cycle as well, which kicked off a new 14-year cycle. So we're only seeing the beginning of that. There's much more we're going to see, obviously, over a 14-year period. Okay, so relative to this full moon, which is in Sagittarius at 2 degrees and 55 minutes, it's a full moon, which we have, every month. And it's, part of the cycle of where the new moon began, which was in Taurus. And I'm still so unwell that I forgot that I didn't come on and do a new moon video. I just wrote a post about it, and because I was looking at my channel and I thought, where's my new moon video? Like, what happened to it? And then it dawned on me that I wasn't able to do a recording. I was very unwell at that time. I've just got a sinus infection, basically. That's what it is. And it's just, a really intense one that just is taking a long time to clear out from my body. And I was also thinking, relative to that, about all the chemtrails. So I do believe the, as they call it, conspiracy theory around chemtrails. I've always understood that there is a truth in that. And what is the truth in that? Well, from my perspective and my understanding, it's just a release of toxins onto the earth, which do have an impact on our health and so forth. And, some people ask the question, well, why do some people get really sick and some people don't get as sick? And when there's a wave that comes through, why is it that a whole bunch of people will get sick and then there's a whole bunch of people that won't? You can't answer that in a black and white manner, in a simple, sort of, this is the reason why, or this is the reason why not. It's never as simple, but because there's different reasons as to why people will be more sensitive to different toxins being released onto the earth, or to the toxins that are, put into our food and our water, and so on and so forth, right? It's very complicated, and different people respond or react in different ways to different things. That's just all there is to it. For me personally, I've got my moon in the first house in my own birth chart. So the moon and Neptune are the only two planets in the chart that actually absorb energy. They're the only two planets that do that. So if you have Neptune or the moon in the first house, it literally describes your physical persona, your physical body, your physical boundaries, as it were, are just very, very sensitive to your environment, for better or for worse. So, if you're in an environment where the energy is really high, and it's really positive, it's really clean, it's really healthy, it's really vibrant, then you will pick that up really quickly. And equally so, if you're in an environment that's really dark or hostile or aggressive or negative or toxic, you will pick that up very, very quickly. And I can tell you that is factual. It's not textbook information. I've lived this my whole life, right? So I can tell you it's factual. And, relative to my sinus infection that I've had for 3 weeks now, this is another reason as to why I'm taking longer to heal. And I'm just a lot more sensitive to bugs and, things like that floating around. Admittedly, in Melbourne at the moment, there's been a surge of new viruses come through, and there's lots of people sick actually, and normally the influenza season, as they call it, it doesn't start till sometime in June. It's already been around for over 4 weeks in Melbourne, so there's lots of shit floating around, and it's no wonder that it's it's impacting a lot of people. So back to the full moon. So this cycle began at the new moon in Taurus, which was conjunct Uranus, which that too sparked off the further protesting, and which has led to universities and so on and so forth. And it's just the energy of the people wanting, really wanting things to be more fair and more equal and more just, and the desire to want to be free, free in oneself and free in this land that God has gifted us. Actually, we are the spiritual warfare, if you like, if you want to use that language, is so intense. It has been so intense for some time, but it is supercharged, at the moment, with all these incredible, cycles going on of Jupiter, Uranus, Pluto and Aquarius, Pluto now retrograde in Aquarius. There's an intensity in the volume of people, resisting the Saturnian mechanisms of control. It's just exploding everywhere. And Pluto in Aquarius is fundamentally, for the next 20 years, going to be a platform and a voice and an energy, and a projection of the entire human race, coming together in different ways at different times, through different waves, different cycles, different causes, different reasons, that are primarily the root and the essence of that is about creating a unison, a unity, of people coming together, right? So that we can create this new reality moving forward that is sustainable for everybody, not just for some. This business of these higher entities having more than everyone else all the time, and everybody else just being at the survival scale, is changing. It's going to take a long time to shift. I'm not suggesting that it's going to happen overnight, but certainly this Pluto in Aquarius is the advocate for these changes that are coming through. And the more the people unite, the more these forces try to strangle try to prevent that from happening, of course. So we just see a greater intensity. So with a full moon, which is an important thing, but as I said, it happens every month. It's not an eclipse, it's a full moon in Sagittarius. The thing that I really like about this full moon is that it's exactly sextile Pluto. So therefore, Pluto is exactly trine the sun. And that's, the primary aspect actually to this full moon, which is pretty good, because Pluto is the agent of transformation. It is the agent of exposing the BS, revealing what's been hidden. It's the agent that helps us within ourselves transform, reinvent, regenerate ourselves. Sagittarius, of course, is always a sign that corresponds to spirit, fire. All fire signs are the essence of spirit. The word inspiration literally means to be in spirit, and all three fire signs contain that vibration within them. Sagittarius is always a lot more optimistic, a lot more confident, and sees the bigger picture and will feel brighter and more encouraged about things than any other sign, really. So, Sag always carries that optimistic kind of energy to it. We've had the sun recently ingress into Gemini as well. So, this is, as they say in mainstream astro, we're in Gemini season, as it were. But I will talk about that in more depth when I come back and speak to the Sun Venus conjunction in Gemini, which will be the new evening star that's going to emerge. And just for your reference as well, I recently mentioned the rebirth of Jupiter as a morning star, which basically occurred when the Sun and Jupiter formed their conjunction in Taurus. That was a cazimi conjunction between Sun and Jupiter. And what I want to show you in Ruman's program. So this is, let me see what date is. Okay, so I've got it set for the new moon. Pardon me, the full moon. That's why you see there's the moon and there's the sun. So the sun is that round circle with the red spikes, and the moon is the moon symbol. But what I want to show you is, if you, let me just grab a companion. In Ruman's program, when a planet is invisible, it's faded out into gray. If you look around at all the other symbols, they are green, blue, red, and so forth, right? When a planet is invisible, it will be faded out into gray. That's how we know a planet is invisible. There's Venus. We know Venus is invisible. I just spoke about that, 2 days ago. And if you look at, this is Jupiter right here. Jupiter is still invisible. Okay, it recently formed the conjunction to the sun, and it was reborn as a morning star. And morning star Jupiter is, I want to say it's probably, in a more prime position, although Jupiter is a benefic and, inherently doesn't bring any harm. But in terms of traditional astrology, Jupiter is a day planet. So it's happier, in the day sky. So if you're born during the day and Jupiter is in the same hemisphere as the sun, your Jupiter is in sect. In other words, it's very happy. So Jupiter being born as a morning star, which means we're going to see it rising, in the morning in the eastern horizon. It's a pretty happy Jupiter. It's in the day sky. But the point to showing you this at the moment is that Jupiter is not yet visible. Okay, when the sun and a planet form a conjunction, and it's called a cazimi conjunction, depending on the planet, of course, its visibility will take a certain amount of time. That is when it's going to finally appear as a morning star in the sky. Just as Venus, when she forms her conjunction to the sun on the 4th of June in Gemini, she will be reborn as an evening star, but she will not be visible for a month after that date. Again, I'm going to come back and talk about that. Jupiter actually becomes visible, let me see, on the 1st of June. So it's about, as of today's the 21st, so it's 9 days away. And I'm bringing that up because if you worked with that cazimi conjunction from the point of view of rebirthing, resetting Jupiterian things in your life, which could have just been instilling, more hope and more faith in this troublesome world. Or it could have been something, a lot more specific and personal for you. Whatever it was, it would need to be of Jupiter nature, but that can extend to a lot of different things. That can be you studying, that can be you traveling, that can be you just instilling a greater sense of confidence within yourself, right? And your life path and so forth. Whatever it is that you meditated on, intended, planted seeds for, etc., just know that because Jupiter is still invisible, it's the fruits of that seed, if you like, will not start to appear, as it were, until Jupiter becomes visible post that date, so post the 1st of June. So I just wanted to highlight that for those that might be interested. Okay, so let me just go back to the full moon chart on solar fire, as it's just a little bit clearer to view when you're not used to Ruman's program. It is hard to visually see things. It does take practice, but I like to bring it in for a little view here and there because I will be using that a lot more in the future. So powerful full moon because it is sextile Pluto, and Pluto's trine the sun. Sextile aspects are fortuitous. You know, they present with opportunities. So what's the opportunity here? Well, the opportunity can be anything related to what that full moon is highlighting. Full moons are always an energy that illuminates things on the earth and illuminates things in our life, right? So I guess the first thing is to take note of where that full moon is in your own chart. Interestingly, for me, it's exactly, to the degree on my Jupiter. I've got Jupiter at 2 degrees of Sag. So curious to see what that will mean for me. It's in my 11th house, so I'm feeling that it's going to have something to do with my audience on YouTube, my followers, my current students, maybe new students coming on to signing up to my courses and so forth. So once again, I've got 2 different series going on at the moment. If you're interested, reach out. They're wonderful classes. They all go between 3 to 4 hours. It's all recorded on Zoom, extensive PDF handouts, chart examples, wonderful group of people that I have with me at the moment. Beautiful souls. I really look forward to seeing them every time I see them. I haven't seen them for 3 weeks because I've been unwell. But anyway, so I'm sharing this because, you need to think about the full moon from your own personal perspective, right? From your own personal chart. What is it highlighting for you in your chart, in your life? In other words, whatever it's highlighting, Pluto is supporting it. Basically, Pluto is going to bring some type of opportunity potentially, right, to support whatever that full moon is highlighting for you. And Pluto's trine the sun as well. And so it's air to air, and the air quality, of course, is always associated with knowledge, communication, networking, just connecting different things. It could be writing, it could be speaking, it could be reading, it could be teaching, it could be, speaking publicly, whatever it is, anything to do with the written and spoken word. And the world of knowledge and information is receiving during this full moon a really supportive energy from Pluto, right? And I mean, trines are, as I've said before on numerous occasions, trines are something that feels like the universe is on your side, as it were. The universe is always on our side, but there are certain times, such as trine aspects, where we feel we are in like the most perfect alignment. Things just show up at the perfect time for us. That's what a trine is. It's that sense of feeling like a stroke of luck is being presented. Things are just falling into place for you at the precise time. That's what a trine aspect does. It creates this harmony and flow. And the harmony and flow is between the sun and Pluto. The sun is your spirit energy. In this case, it's the collective spirit energy. And it's the spirit energy through the archetype of Gemini, which is our ability to attain, more knowledge and more understanding on things. And Pluto being trine is just facilitating that in a very natural and organic manner. And the sextile to the moon is an opportunity. Now, because it is a full moon, the moon, of course, is always a symbol of the feminine and women, mothers, could be family, could be any of those things, and just your own emotional body, your own emotional level of support within yourself, how you are feeling about things. Pluto is going to be very supportive during this full moon to bump up that already optimistic nature of Sagittarius, as it is unto, its natural predisposition is to be optimistic. That's the main aspect. There is a trine from Neptune, an out of sign trine, because Neptune is 30 minutes away from being in Aries, as it were, although that 30 minutes translates to a long time because Neptune is such a slow moving body. But the point is, it is very close to that moon, trine out of sign. So, that could just add a bit more of a sensitivity to that lunar full moon cycle. But it is a trine, so trines are a lot more supportive, so perhaps, I mean, it is Neptune, and I like to always remember that Neptune, it is actually the most difficult energy. A lot of people may not realize that, or may not believe that, or may not understand that, but it really, really is, because it's the planet that is, out of all the planets, it's the one that is not of this world. That's why it's so difficult to integrate that energy through this material plane. Very, very difficult. So even if there's a trine aspect, it's still going to bring in those elements of Neptune, which can be very tricky, which can bring in a lot of sensitivity, psychically. And depending on who we are and what's going on in our life, that could be, a positive influence, or that can be a challenging influence, even though it's trine, because it is Neptune, basically, simply put. The other thing I want to just touch on briefly is this Mars North Node Chiron trio, which I think is fascinating. And from a collective perspective, I honestly feel that it is actually pointing to the matters in the Middle East, because there's so much devastation that has gone on there. The whole area has been wiped out. Millions of people displaced, and hundreds, or in the thousands, very high thousands, people being made unalived. It doesn't matter what political stance you take. That is not the way to go. That is not what we are here to do. We are not here to decimate people. We are here to unite and to bring love. That's what we are here to do. Everybody is here to awaken to that one fundamental truth. So I don't care what your political views are, this is not right from that highest form. So this Mars Chiron North Node in Aries is, I think, really reflecting the courageous, the absolute freaking courageous souls, either the ones that are directly there impacted, and or people, around the world, who have the balls to speak up. You can't put it in any other way. I'm not going to make that sound Venusian. It does take courage to stand up for truth. Look at what's happened to Julian Assange. His life has been hijacked by these vultures because he spoke the truth. And they want to use him as an example. And that's what they have been doing the entire time, to scare people into the fear of speaking the truth. If you don't see that, then your eyes need to be peeled back, and you need to start, recognizing what the F is going on this earth plane. These are all really important passages, you know, and these people that are born, such as Julian Assange and many others, you know, they are born to help people wake up, to help people stand in that courageous position, to stand for truth. So Chiron Mars North Node is a reminder of those sorts of things. And what we do with that is up to us. You know, the energies are there, and it is as above, so below. And I heard someone say just yesterday, and I'm not going to say his name because he's an astrologer. And anyway, he said Mars is not the planet of war. In one way, I could understand where he was coming from, because he was speaking on well, I don't know what level he was speaking on actually, but yeah, he was speaking on some kind of level, and he was just trying to emphasize. I guess he was trying to emphasize that you know, the planets are not doing things to us necessarily, so it's up to our own consciousness and our own soul's desires and willpower in terms of how we integrate these energies and the choices that we make. That is absolutely true. But to say that Mars is not a planet of war is absurd, because it actually is. Doesn't mean that every single person who tunes into Mars must exercise that component of it, that component of that archetype. Of course not. And most people don't. Thank God. But it doesn't, it doesn't, what's the word? I've just forgotten the word I want to use. But anyway, Mars is, without question, the planet of aggression and war. And it's so freaking obvious. Look at the state of the world. If we were, if the world was more influenced by Venus at the highest, because Venus is also a goddess of war as well. So it's kind of a tricky analogy, really. But Venus is the goddess of love. And she's the goddess of war when she's the morning star, you know. But we must also remember that the Pallas Athena, the deity Pallas Athena, who's the deity of Athens, Greece, although she is the deity of war, she's a strategic goddess of war. She's her first approach is to not, you know, cut someone's head off. She's the goddess of wisdom first and foremost. She's the daughter of Jupiter. So she fights actually with her right brain wisdom. That's how she fights primarily. I think it is the humans on an unconscious level, with the ego taking over, the ego aspect that is insatiable, that wants to control, that wants power, that side of the ego. When Pallas Athena is activated from that side of a human being, of course it's going to bring in war in that ugly, unnecessary way, which is what's happening at the moment. So it's not about blaming anything on anyone or anything for that matter, really. Like Michael Jackson said, you know, have a look in the mirror. You know, that's all we need to do to bring it back to ourself, the choices we make, how we see things, what we participate in, and so forth. So I really like this Mars Chiron North Node energy from the point of view of being a true warrior and fighting for, and when I say fighting, I'm not talking about going out and bashing somebody. I'm just talking about having the courage to stand for truth, and to bring in that fire spirit of Aries, because Aries is probably the most honest sign in the whole wheel. It is the baby, the infant of the zodiac, and it is fiercely honest. So when you bring in that pure fire spirit of Aries in truth, right, through Mars and Chiron and North Node, that's what we are fighting for. Mars, for truth and spirit energy to be that truth, that spirit energy to come through us. Remember, in esoteric astrology, Mercury is the ruler of Aries. So that's telling us that speech must be truthful. Because in esoteric astrology, the planets and the signs are understood in a very different way than they are in exoteric astrology. Mercury is the god of logos, the god of word, the god of speech. And it rules Aries in esoteric astrology. And I just explained that Aries is the archetype that corresponds to speaking the truth. There it is. That's where it comes from. So this is all about truth, fighting for truth, standing for truth, having the courage to do that. Whether that's participating in collective things in a quiet way, in a very overt way, that's, it's different for every soul. And in doing this, we are healing something within ourselves as well, because Chiron is there. We are healing something very profound about the spirit of truth. So I think that's important. And finally, I just want to also mention that the asteroid Achilles, which I tend to follow and pay attention to because that's my dad, that's my father's name, and he's my number one, always has been, always will be. And he's on the asteroid Achilles is right on my ascendant. Right? That describes the soul connection I have with my dad, just to put it very simply. At the moment, transiting Achilles, the asteroid, is at 2 degrees of Leo. So it's sitting right opposite Pluto. Why is that important? For some people, it might not mean anything. And I accept that, because not everything that's going on in the sky impacts everybody 24/7. That's not how things work. But for those that may resonate, I would like to share just a couple of thoughts. I certainly resonate for the reasons I just described. And Pluto at the moment is exactly on my ascendant. And so Achilles is right on my descendant. So transiting Pluto, transiting Achilles is right on my ascendant-descendant axis. That's important for me. For yourself, you would need to think about where Pluto and Achilles, that axis, where it is in your own chart, where 2 degrees Aquarius, Leo reside in your chart. Now, Achilles is one of the most ultimate warrior, right? The most fearless warrior, feared nothing. That particular deity. And at the same time, he had a tremendous vulnerability because of his mum dipping him into this, let's just call it a magic potion to make him immortal. And as she was holding him by the back of his foot, part of his foot wasn't dipped in, thus the term Achilles heel, right, which has been expressed as a vulnerability or a sensitivity when we go through different experiences in life. So Achilles has this dual kind of, it's like, two sides to a coin, right? On the one hand, it's this, incredible, like beyond incredible, heroic spirit energy. And on the other hand, there is this vulnerability and sensitivity as well. So sometimes when Achilles is passing through something in your chart, um, you may be going through something that's expressing equally, both those sides to Achilles, depending on the context, of your story. But have a think about it. I think the opposition to Pluto, though, really magnifies the asteroid Achilles. Now, this just occurred to me right now, actually. I think it's also playing out in that 2024 blockout because Pluto in Aquarius is the people, and Pluto in Aquarius is the 2024 blockout, which is the people, as I mentioned at the very beginning, blocking celebrities. And the Achilles being opposite it might just be for the celebrities that are being blocked and unfollowed. Like if you follow on Instagram or any other social media platform, you will see that there are, and I'm talking like the high-end top celebrities like Beyonce. The list is huge, actually, where they've had millions or billions of followers. Those numbers are dropping every single second. There's numerous of these celebrities that have lost millions and millions and millions of followers just in the last few days. So that's in a lot of ways that would be threatening their sense of specialness. Achilles in Leo, their sense of importance, their sense of I'm so special, I'm so loved by everybody, I'm so admired and revered by everybody. I've got so many followers, I've sold 5 billion records, blah blah blah, right? Well, they're experiencing the other end of the stick now, which is Pluto. And I think that's actually what that Achilles asteroid is highlighting. That just, the penny just dropped just as I was looking at the chart right now. I hadn't thought about that before I came on. But yeah, I mean, that's that on a collective level, but relative to ourselves, I guess we'd need to think about that in the context of our story. It may just bring up something really powerful and or really sensitive at the same time. It's just something that you need to consider. I don't know you, so I don't know. I can't give any more interpretation to that. As long as you understand the power of the symbolism. And an opposition, don't forget that an opposition is the same as a full moon. It illuminates things. So that's just perfect for what's happening to the celebs at the moment. Okay. Let's see, was there anything else? Oh yeah, the song that's just very, very quickly, the song that this rapper released is called Hind's Hall, and there's an asteroid called Hind, which on the day that he released the song, which was the 6th of May, was at 6 degrees Cancer, transiting. And in his own chart, 6 degrees of Cancer actually sits right here. I don't have a time of birth for him, so do not consider the house placements or the ascendant, because I don't know what time he was born. But anyway, the asteroid Hind, which is the name of his song, is at the midpoint of his Mercury and Venus, which this shows us, and two very specific things that I talk about a lot and that I am teaching in my courses as well: midpoints and asteroids. Never underestimate the power of midpoints and asteroids, because you will miss out on seeing something that can describe to you in very specific detail the whys and the hows of what's going on and so forth. So the song that's had over 140 million views in less than 2 weeks is corresponds to an asteroid in the heavens at the time that he released the song, right at the midpoint of Venus Mercury, which is perfect symbolism because Venus is music and Mercury is the fact that he's a rapper. He's got Mercury in Gemini. He's a rapper. You know, it's an outstanding reflection. So there's another one for midpoints and asteroids. Okay, I'm going to leave it here. Wishing you all a blessed full moon. It's a nice energy, this full moon. So tune into that positive Sag vibe, and tune into the the opportunity that Pluto is bringing into this. And I'll see you guys very soon for the Venus Sun conjunction in Gemini, which will be the rebirth of Venus as an evening star. Keep in mind, Venus is still in the underworld. Much love and see you soon. Bye. Oh, and don't forget, I've got 2 different series going. There's going to be a third series that's going to start later this year. The third series is going to be a lot more advanced. So, yeah, just reach out if you want to know more. Much love. Bye for now.